After 13 years, James Cameron and his team have taken viewers back to Pandora, and the rich and united culture of the Na'vi is still as fascinating as ever. But this time there's a significant change, as most of the scenes are filmed inside the water, and it was the most breathtaking moment for the cast. Jake Sully is no longer that young man who turned against his race and fought beside Neytiri. He's now a father who knows that the sky people might return, and turning to where the water is more protective than living in the jungle.
We pick up 15 years later, and as you know, Sam and Zoe played the young lovers of the first film. They're now the old married couple, not that old, but older, 15 years later with teenage kids.
Story. It's about a man and his wife trying to protect their family in an intergalactic battle.
However, it's not as easy for the actors to adapt to this aquatic life. Usually in Avatar 1, the scenes were mostly shot in the studio, and it was the setting that the actors were used to. But you can never tell with James Cameron, as he enjoys breaking his records, so it's a big task for these actors to accomplish. Sam Worthington, who plays Jake Sully in the show, mentioned that the behind-the-scenes shootings were very intense, and they were made to do things they've never done before. They were made to be in motion in the water with heavy technological equipment, and Sam said they were like guinea pigs used to test new experiments.
We're doing motion capture underwater. It's never been done before, so as always, me and Zoe know we're the guinea pigs. So we're thrown in the deep end with all this technology on us. I immediately thought we were going to get zapped. Yeah. But all of the underwater stuff is challenging because, look, action, that's Jim's wheelhouse.
Zoe Saldana, who portrays Neytiri, also spoke about how they trained for this challenge, and it's scary.
He had us working with world-renowned, free divers for weeks on end. We were holding our breaths and really getting our bodies acclimated to the water and to the kind of depth that we were going to be shooting in.
No filmmaker has gone that far before. If there's anything James loves filming in, it's the sea, because he enjoys water, as he has done with some of his other films.
2013, I get a call from Jim saying his hobby was freediving. Yeah. So I kind of knew he's going to put it into play.
Then he made Titanic.
And he loves the water.
He loves the water, yeah.
But Avatar 2 is different. Avatar is uniquely loved because of its realistic emotions and movements. And now that the setting has been shifted to inside the water, then you should know how it was done. For a more controlled view and acting, James made sure a big gigantic pool was constructed for this. A huge tank is big enough to contain more than 250,000 gallons of water, and the actors had to dive inside while putting on their performance suits. With this controlled water tank, James and the crew could initiate many details into it, like showing realistic waves and how the people in the scenes were getting hit by the waves as they came outside the water. This process is challenging because the people and creatures aren't just getting hit by waves, but they're also trying to talk, breathe, and show emotions through it. And for the Na'vi people, who are known to always connect well to their environment, viewers need to see how well they've adapted to living in the water, and how best they know their way around better than any intruder who could find them. But for this to be possible, the actors on set had to learn to swim like professionals, like they own the water. James said the key to it was actually to shoot underwater and at the surface of the water, so people were swimming properly, getting out of the water properly, diving in properly. And as they were shooting underwater, the cameras and other equipment necessary for filming and capturing every moment were with them. So that means the actors had to hold their breath for longer than they were used to, and to make sure that the emotions and other feelings were captured live during the shooting. Now, you would think that there was a hack to this to make it easier for the actors, like using scuba gear while filming and many things divers use to give them composure underwater. But the fact is, none of these facilities were given to the cast. That's because filming underwater has to be clear enough to help with the performance capture technology. So no form of hindrance to these captures could be allowed. Scuba gear and all other swimming aids would only cause air bubbles in the camera, defeating the realistic emotional capture. James Cameron explained how water bubbles could affect the camera's vision in water when he said, "Every one of those air bubbles is a little wiggling mirror." And the The system that's trying to read all the marker dots on the actor's body so it can capture their emotion can't tell the difference between a marker dot and a bubble. So shooting Avatar 2 is a job without oxygen, because every crew member going inside the water to perform even the tiniest task, like holding a light, had to seize their breath. The camera operators and actors also had to go through shooting their scenes by holding their breath. And for a movie over 3 hours, there were many groundbreaking and inconvenient rules to follow. However, despite how many of these actors hated themselves and the roles during filming due to how intense and scary it was, some actors enjoyed every bit of it because of the challenges and how filming Avatar 2 made it possible to break their records. James praised Kate Winslet particularly for going out of her way to enjoy every bit of filming on set. Kate is one of the people on set who could hold her breath for so long, James said. Kate enjoyed the freedom of expressing herself underwater. She could do a static breath hold for about 7 minutes and 20 seconds. James added that he was impressed with Kate because, as a freediver with 50 years of experience himself, he was only able to hold his breath for 5.5 minutes. The actress joked when they asked her if she had passed after holding her breath for that long. You can't blame the crew members for asking that, because she broke Tom Cruise's record, who held his breath for 6 minutes in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And it's still shocking how she did it.
Tom held his breath for over 6 minutes in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, but Kate beat his record. She credits professional training, but you'd think it would have been due to another James Cameron project.
And the funny thing is, Kate made a brief list of how to go about it.
Make lists in my mind, but you'd have to be careful not to make like too many comprehensive, complicated lists, because that also takes brain power.
It wasn't compulsory for the cast on the set of Avatar 2 to seize their breath for extra long minutes, as Sam barely managed to make it to 15 seconds.
It wasn't required, but when I'm set a challenge, you know, I'm kind of one of those people. I have to kind of commit and go for it.
My breath, I did it for easily 15 seconds. Awesome. Killed it.
He did. I can attest to that. I was there.
But when Kate sees a challenge, she's willing to make the best of it. And of course, she didn't imagine it would turn out so well. Meanwhile, Sam had to joke about Kate's skills of playing still for that long.
Yeah.
That's why she's not here today.
Exactly.
Kate is also kind to advise that it's not a fun thing to try, as it's a sport that requires training.
At home, you need an instructor. It is a sport. It's a skill. You have to learn. You have to train. Don't do it in your bathtub.
It sounds almost unbelievable.
Although Kate has worked with James before on Titanic, it would be her first time exploring the world of Avatar, and she thanked the kindness of her colleagues, especially Zoe, who showed her the secrets of her character.
In particular, was really generous in sharing with me the things that she had developed for her character, and it was so helpful.
With how united the team members were on set, Kate could make her character feel like she's been part of the whole tribe from the beginning.
And feel as though Renal, my character, had always sort of been there. We just hadn't actually met her yet.
It's also mind-blowing how the actors were always alert on set, because they dive inside the water and wait for James to talk to them from the surface.
We're 30 feet underwater, so it was free diving, and then wait for Jim to call action.
And Zoe also broke her record for holding her breath for 5.5 minutes.
From thinking that was completely impossible for me to obtain, to holding my breath close to 5 minutes and a quarter.
With all of these groundbreaking records and limitless efforts from the cast and crew members of Avatar 2, it is significant to know that the project didn't just start recently. The actors have put themselves into these characters for 9 years by learning training and finally filming the movie.
Been since 2013.
Right.
Is when Jim first mentioned it to me. 2015.
James Cameron.
James Cameron, yeah, that's correct. About 2015 was when I first saw designs of it.
Right.
Pushing my pregnant wife around.
And now Jake Sully has children. And love isn't just to be shared between himself and Neytiri, but also showing their bonds with their children under the water, which is a lot compared to when it was just with him and Neytiri in the jungle. Sam almost had a panic attack while filming a scene with his teenage son, and the emotional moment when the son had to touch him shook him back to life.
With a young kid, and you know, the scene is about a father literally trying to get to his son. His son's a teenager, he's lost his way, and it was 30 feet under the water, and I looked up and I started to wig out. And now, when you start thinking that deep underwater, you're burning oxygen.
Your heart rate.
Yeah.
So what do? Do you just say, get me out of here? But you can't even say that.
The kid touched me and squeezed my hand and brought me back in. So the kid connected. He was still in the scene.
The kid saved you.
Pretty much. Yeah. His name's Britton Dalton.
An image of Sam's character on a giant creature while holding an automatic weapon is also one of the big reveals in Avatar 2, and you won't believe how this was achieved behind the scenes.
Get to see everything on a monitor, like you have monitors around here. So if I wave, my blue avatar waves. And then it translates to what we're doing, and we're problem solving. We're trying to figure out, well, how can we ride a creature? So that, I think, was a Cirque du Soleil performer with a jet propulsion.
So you rode a person?
I rode on his back. He had the bad job.
For the older cast of Avatar 2, the water might be familiar to them due to experiences from other roles, and especially the experiences gained from working with James Cameron. But the show's younger cast started their trial right from the audition, and this is where you know Avatar 2 is different from other regular movies, because James took the audition from the standard room with walls to a pool.
Interesting part about the audition process is I had to actually tread water for I think it was 5 to 10 minutes in a pool to see if I could do the stunts in the movie.
Never again will in an audition we have to do a free dive training and hold our breath for a minute to prove that we can actually get the film. So that's a unique experience in itself.
What do you think about these cast challenging moments on the set while filming inside the water? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.